that was a natural state. There were no artificial light like that. They had their light and air through the holes. This dungeon we see today contained about 1,000 people. The dungeon was divided into rooms, and we had 5 of them. This is room number 1, and just behind you we have 4 extra rooms. So the estimation was 200 people to each of the rooms, 200 or more. So ladies and gentlemen, this small room here contained about 200 men or more. The size is about 5 yards by 10 yards. So mathematically, fitting about 200 within this space means they would have to squeeze before they could fit in. They could spend about 1 or 3 months in the dungeons waiting on the ships. That was a maximum days. The whole thing depended on how early or how late the ships arrived. So they stayed in and waited. And whilst they were waiting for the ships, they did everything in the dungeons. They had to eat in the dungeons. They had to drink water in the dungeons. They had to go to toilet. They had to urinate. They had to sleep right here. When you look on the floor carefully, you find gutters on the floor. The tiny gutters you see over there were the only way all the toilet and the urine could move out into the ocean. And again, you will wonder, how can feces and urine run to these things if this place accommodated about 200 people for over a period of 160 years? The thing is, whatever they left in this dungeon got stacked up. Ladies and gentlemen, to about this height, see my hand, to about this level, this room was filled up with all the toilet, the urine, and everything they left, all over. So in actual fact, human beings here slept on their own feces and urine for about 1 or 2 months before the ships arrived. In 1974, we brought in a team of archaeologists from our University of Ghana. They came here and carefully, all the feces and urine that was left was excavated. So after the excavation, we found the original floor and these gutters. So if you had been here earlier than 1974, you might have seen to whatever I'm talking about in this room. So that is even the reason behind the white marks you see on the walls. Those are excavation marks. The archaeologists left those marks here. And also, when you look up to my right, you find a hole. Food and water at times was dropped from there to them on the floor. You see, this was one room we called the strong room. It was said that this room was preserved for the captives who were aggressive and very hard to handle. Most of them were here in chains and in shackles. That if they were in that aggressive mood, that they couldn't come in to feed them or to give them water. Rather, they would drop everything from there to them on the floor. So meaning if you were there, the food and water would not reach. Survival of the fittest in this room. So as a result of the inhumane conditions, many died in this dungeon. It could happen that out of every 4, 1 will die before the ships arrive. So out of 100%, you can have about 25% of them dying in the dungeons. And it could also happen that the dead could be with the living for some hours here before those bodies were removed. The common disease in the dungeons was diarrhea and vomiting and dehydration sort of. So many died as a result of that. And when they died, most of the time, the bodies we learned were tied with a load, like a metal or a stone, so that the bodies could easily sink into the ocean when the bodies were dumped. So that was a condition, or that was the situation in this dungeon. So people endured this condition for over 160 years. Any questions or comments, ladies and gentlemen?
Or extended life. So you're looking at